This is Tuesday, March 14th. There are 10 days until WonderCon 2023. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
VANUHTEE go. Oh my God, I love Live Journal and my Live Journal wants me. Current food is hyperactive, current music, Refuge 73. I love the color scheme, it's pink and purple, it looks sweet.
Good evening. I am your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast tonight, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. We haven't done one of these in a little while.
And joining us for this schedule breakdown, Aaron Tapkin.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you guys.
All right. It has been a little while, so welcome to SDConCast.
I think the last time that we were together, Carrie wasn't even in the country.
That's right. Yeah. And I had to leave early to go see David Tennant in London. So
blah, blah, blah.
A very good reason. A very good reason.
All right. So we're going to take your comments and questions throughout the show. So send them on in. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con. You can use the hashtag SDConCast. We will also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment there. So first up, is there any WonderCon news, any big WonderCon news we need to share before we get right into the schedule?
There's a couple of things that I can go over real quick. First of all, don't forget that if you have not yet submitted your exclusive points, basically for the portal, that is due by Sunday at midnight Pacific time. At the moment, it's basically just Funko and a signing. Kim from Outside Comic-Con has put together a really nice list of the offsites, which is mostly cosplay and fan meetups. You can find that on our site. Yesterday's started to announce their pins today. We've got other exclusives on our site from like Patrick Ballesteros, T-Turtle, other stuff. It's all on our site. At this point, my biggest question is, are the food trucks coming back?
Well, I mean, pretty much I think they're gonna, because
I would like to think so, but I will say that like me and one other person like reached out to a couple food trucks last week, I think, and they were like, we haven't heard anything. So
well, they were there last year for both
they were
free and celebration.
Yeah, so it may just be that they put it together at the very last second. So.
Right. Whoever's available on that weekend. I don't know.
Yep.
We see some of the same ones, but we also see different ones each time. So who knows? All right. So we're going to get into the schedule. Now, of course, you can head on to the Comic-Con site, comiccon.org, and head to WonderCon. And what are we using this year? We're using Sked. Can you believe that?
This is like the best surprise so far. Yeah, I honestly did not think that this was going to happen. But
it's nice to be back and having all of those things that you're used to from before lockdown, when we were using Sked back then, and it's all back. So let's get right into it. We're going to kick it off on Friday in the arena, which supposedly, according to the Anaheim Convention Center website, holds 7,500 people, but I don't know if that's the entire thing. Remember, they do cut off portions of it because you can't sit where you would be behind the screen. So it holds a lot of people. It's basically Hall H. So there's not much in the room. There's only two things. At first, so the convention opens at 11:30. But the first thing in the arena is not until 4:45, and that is Wolfpack, which features I think it's Paramount Plus, right?
Yeah, it is.
The Paramount Plus show, and it says that series creator Jeff Davis and the cast of Wolfpack come together to discuss the series' first season and the season finale. No listing yet on who the cast will be in attendance.
But I feel like if you're going to put it in the arena, Sarah Michelle Gellar has to be there, surely, because otherwise, why on earth is this in the arena?
Well, because it's the only place to put it.
There are other places, though.
They can bring other casts and be fine in the arena, but yes, you would hope.
I think it's going to be real disappointing if Sarah Michelle Gellar is not there. I'm just going to straight up say that. Yeah.
Yes. So after that, we have Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham, which is one of two premieres of WB/DC movies. This one is from 6 to 8 p.m. And will feature a lot of stuff. These things have pretty long descriptions, but basically, some people like Christopher Gorham, David Desmalkians, director Sam Liu, and screenwriter Jace Ricci will all be there. And basically, they're going to screen the movie and then have a short little talk about it, which is what they usually do for these things.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it for the arena for Friday. So, I mean, let's talk room flow real quick. I mean, I don't think either of these are going to be difficult at all to get into. I think they'll both be walk-ins, don't you?
Yeah. Now, if they do announce Sarah Michelle Gellar in advance, expect this to fill up in the good seats rather early.
Yes.
But other than that, no. If you want to see this and you don't care where you sit, you could probably walk in 5 minutes before and be fine.
For sure.
For either one of these.
And you said it's about 7,500?
Yeah, about 7,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's Hall H size. She would pack Hall H. So I can't imagine her if she's there.
I'm telling you, I just am like, why would you put this in the arena if you're not bringing Sarah Michelle Gellar?
I'm kind of in agreement with you. Although there's no rooms that are between their biggest room and the arena, is there? Like it's 2,000 and
well, we don't even know. See, the problem with North 200 is that it is a very multi-purpose area.
Yeah.
And so they could put that wall wherever they want to be, 1,000 people up to, I think it was 4,000 people or something like that. It's got a lot of room. So it just all depends on how big they make that room. So we can't actually say how big that room's going to be
until you get in it.
Until you get in.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's talk about what's going to be in there then on Fridays. There's this is 200A. Is that it? 200A. Yes. They have programming starting at 3:00, and it's starting with Knights of the Zodiac live action film panel, which is supposed to be including. I mean, they list quite a few people. Nick Stahl's listed, Famke Janssen's listed. I'm hoping that they're actually all there and they're not just
typically the way that it works with SCED, it is if someone is bolded, that I would say like 95% of the time that means that they're going to be there.
Well, that's excellent then, because good chunk of the cast.
Yeah, and remember that this is the movie that has the lone signing on the lottery. Yes. So you would hope that they would have at least a few cast members to be at that signing.
And this is one that was announced like way back before the pandemic. They've been talking about this movie, working on this movie for a very long time. I saw a lot of people in our comments excited that it was going to be there. So that's going to be from 3 to 4. After that, it is the True Lies exclusive screening and Q&A with the cast and creators. Inspired by the James Cameron movie. It's going to have some stars. Showrunners also going to be there. It's going to be an exclusive advanced screening of an episode. And then I'm sure they'll have some.
Is this an hour-long drama? Or is it a shorter show, or is it a streaming show?
That's a great question.
There's only an hour for the panel, and if it's a normal hour-long network type show, then it's going to be about 45 minutes long.
Yeah, within 15 minutes of introductions.
Yeah, so the panel will basically be very short if it's not a much shorter episode.
It does mention a Q&A followed by an exclusive advanced screening. So they might get a few questions in.
We'll see.
Yes. Yeah. And that is from 4 to 5 p.m. From 5 to 6, right after that is HBO Max's Fired on Mars. It has the 2 creators and one of the cast members. And like I said, that was from 4 to 5. And then, 5 to 6, 6 to 7 is HBO Max's Clone High exclusive sneak peek teaser. This one is pretty exciting. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Lord and Miller are going to be there. Will Forte is going to be there as voice actors. This one seems to be a lot of fun.
I totally agree. I feel like this one's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's their upcoming like animated series for HBO Max. But I mean, Phil Lord, Chris Miller, Will Forte, like you just know that's going to be a fun panel.
Yes, indeed. That is from 6 to 7. And then from 7 to 8:30, they're going to be doing CCI playback. So playback.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with what playback is, it's basically they'll play a couple of that day's like biggest
But this
panels.
one's special.
But this one's special.
This one's
because
different.
They're going to
Yep.
be doing Comic-Con 2022 re-shows. And they're not telling you what it's going to be. So they hint that it could be, or they tease that it could be Marvel Studios, or it could be Warner Brothers, could be any of those.
Yeah. But one thing to note is that whenever they do this, and this one's the same, is that none of the clips or the footage that they show will be playback. So
Just the
keep that in
panel,
mind.
just
Yep,
the
panel.
discussions and the questions.
Just the panel, man. Yep.
Yes. Yep. And that's it for that day.
Yep.
That's it. That's all. What do you guys think?
So one thing I wanted to point out is that unlike at San Diego Comic-Con here, there's not really like a break between panels. So if you do want to attend any panel in here, I would show up a little bit early, purely like in case there's load and unload time, because you don't want to necessarily like miss any part of your panel. But having said that, I don't feel like any of these are going to be difficult to get into with a room that holds, we think, 2,000 to 4,000. What do you think, James?
Again, it's just all depending on room size. I don't think any of these are going to be massively crowded. Clone High might be the one that gets a lot of people into the room, but it's only going to be an issue if they're only using, the configuration that only seats about 1,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
what's interesting to me, and maybe people just don't know about it. I mean, I think this sounds awesome, but I have not seen that many people talking about it online. I have, however, seen a lot of people talking about Knights of the Zodiac.
Mhm.
So I think those two are probably going to be the
So
bigger panels.
If
today.
there's any, I'm sorry, go ahead.
since the convention opens at 11:30, just give a run by the room, see what the sizing is, and kind of just judge for yourself when you feel like you need to show up for one of your panels. If it's a smaller room, give yourself some extra time.
Yep.
I was just gonna mention that if we're going off of a potential popularity, one of the things we can look at is the number of people who have said that they want to be attendees on the sketch. The True Lies has most people who have indicated their interest on that.
Okay.
I don't know if that really pans out to be anything.
It's always interesting. And I've missed this tool on Sched. Honestly, what I would do though with this feature is pay more attention to it like the day or two before the convention. Because as more and more people like use Sched and add their panels, like I feel like it gets more accurate as opposed to earlier on. It's kind of like, this is funky.
Yeah, because I mean, now it looks like there's maybe a few hundred people that have gone in and done some work looking at their schedule. So
yeah,
there's going to be more than a few hundred people at the convention.
There will be.
yes, there will. All right, so moving on to room 207, which holds 789 people. We start the day a little bit earlier at 2 p.m. with Dawn of DC, and this has some heavy hitters like Tom King, Mitch Gerrits, Jeremy Adams, Dennis Culver, and Morgan Hampton as they come together for a first look at the upcoming Dawn of DC titles. At 3 p.m. is a spotlight on Adam Hughes. 4 p.m. is Everyone's a Critic, being a pop culture journalist in an online age, which has a whole bunch of film journalists from like Rutgers and more, bloggers, podcasters, and online only news. At 5 p.m. is TTRPG, Content Creation's Future, which is where a whole bunch of tabletop gaming folks get together and they talk about the future of gaming. At 6 p.m. is the X-Men fandom panel, and they've done this at both WonderCon and San Diego Comic-Con for several years now. This year's panel includes Phil Jimenez, Sarah Moni, and some other folks like the composer of X-Men the Animated Series. But one thing that I definitely wanted to point out is that just like all their other panels is they will have a special giveaway. And what they've done the last couple times is they get an artist basically to do like an exclusive print for that panel, and they give it out to attendees. So I know last year, actually, this panel was like packed. So keep that in mind. Robotech, The New Beginning is at 7 p.m. And then at 8, we finish out the day with How to Create Psychologically Rich Characters, which has several different psychologists and writers and more. And that's it for 207.
That's a packed day.
It is a packed day. The good news, though, is that I feel like there's going to be a decent amount of turnover. I mean, you could very easily like have your comic folks for Dawn of DC and then Adam Hughes, but then they might leave and you get, you know, different folks. And again, I will say that X-Men fandom panel was like packed to the gills last year. So I feel like that's going to be, I know that room completely filled up and people could not get in. In fact, I think Sean, if he listens to this, I think he even tried to go last year. So yeah, again, if you are interested in attending that panel, I would definitely show up early for that one, but all the rest, I think you'll be totally fine. Yep.
Sounds good to me.
Yep. Okay, well then let's talk about some of our Dark Horse panels. And these are basically some smaller panels that we think are worth your time, but are not necessarily in those big rooms. So Erin, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I picked one of a comic related one that's going to be in room 209 from 3 to 4 p.m. It's the business of comics. I think that if you are a comic book fan and are interested in the intricacies and the minutia, this will be a good one. It also has quite a few bigger comic guys. Tom King's going to be in it, Doc Shaner, Marv Wolfman. This might be a chance for you to get a little bit deeper into their processes and what they've gone through and how their highs and lows of the business. So I think that'll be a good one. Yeah, and Cecil Castellucci is moderating that one, and she's a great moderator. So I think that'll be a
very
good
fun one. Do you want me to go next, James?
Sure.
Okay. I wanted to give a shout out to the Jack's Pacific and Disguise Costumes upcoming releases panel, which is at 5 p.m. in room 213 CD. And they've also done this panel at a couple of different cons now, including San Diego Comic-Con. They also do a giveaway, and they're doing one again this year. And it's a fun look at what these companies have in their upcoming collectibles line. And again, it's a giveaway. Like, why would you not want to go?
I'm always up for that. Yeah.
James, did you have one?
Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to say, you know what? It's a good time to go watch some cartoons. So there's a Greatest Cartoons Ever, 5 p.m. In room 300E. And basically, it's just, who wouldn't want to go watch a bunch of classic cartoons like Bugs and and Max Fleischer Supermans and who knows what else? Just all kinds of cool stuff. I love cartoons, so cartoons.
And they make those, the daytime ones when they show those are all ages, family friendly, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, this looks
sure,
like it's got a bunch of stuff from Chuck Jones and Tex Avery, so it's basically going to be all early era cartoons, which were all awesome. That's
a good time, good place to maybe take the kids when they need to calm down a little bit or need to sit in a dark room.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Need to nap. Yes, when it's break time.
Absolutely. Okay, Erin, I think you had a couple more that you wanted to mention.
I did pick another one. This one is in room 300A from 3 to 4, and it's Women in Comics Making Horror. There's been a big resurgence with horror in comics. A lot more people seem to be more interested in it. And this one is going to have writer Amy Chu. It's also going to have Sandy King Carpenter from Storm King Productions and several other people. Amy Chase from Pop's Chocolate Shop of Horrors, which is coming out just a few days, I think, before the convention starts. But they're going to talk about their inspirations, influences, and challenges as female women creators in a traditionally male-dominated genre. So I think that sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds a lot of fun. I wanted to give a shout out as well to at 3 p.m. in room 211 is Nerdy Finance, freelance tax tips to keep your money. And I'm serious here because I feel like in this day and age, like almost everybody like has a side hustle, you know, like you sell stuff on Etsy, you know, you're a freelance artist, writer, whatever. So it's an IRS enrolled agent, basically like talking about like the fandom side of finance. And honestly, if I was going, like, I might go to this panel. So that's my spiel.
I think that's good advice. And I'm basing that only on the some of the tweets I see around tax time,
Yep.
the panics, the panic stricken folks.
Yep. Okay. Well, before we move on to the next room, I think we had a question. James, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. So Night Bodega asked, how will parking work at WonderCon? Is there a link to purchase parking? And the answer is basically no at this point. And someone in the comments, Sarah, answered in the comments that you just pay when you get there. There's a few different parking. There's I think you can enter from 2 different places, possibly, unless they got rid of the one in the back near Hall E. But it's on Harbor side. There's an entrance on Harbor near the arena where you can go into park there. And sometimes, not every single year, but some years, across the street at Toy Story parking for Disneyland, they will allow people to come in. And if you say you're parking for the convention, they will direct you to closer to the convention side of the street. Actually, no, sorry, the parking for the near the arena is on Catella, not Harbor. I messed up. Harbor is the one where the Toy Story parking is.
Yeah. Yep.
So that may be an option as well.
Yes. So they have not officially announced this year's parking information. Last year, it looks like it was actually 3 lots and they all opened at different times. So we'll just have to wait and see what they officially announce for this year. Also worth mentioning is last year they let you park at Angel Stadium for $14 and then they offered a free shuttle bus. So we'll just have to wait and see if they do that again this year, but fingers crossed. Okay, on to Saturday.
Moving on to Saturday, starting in the arena. You're going to get to sleep in a little bit. They're not starting until 12:15, but the first thing they're doing is Legend of the White Dragon. They say the cast and the crew of Legend will be there, and they're going to show exclusive behind the scenes. Nobody listed for cast and crew, but never know who's going to show up. After that, from 1:30 to 2:30, Walking Dead, Dead City. And I know a lot of people are very, very excited about this one. I know Ian Carruthers on Twitter mentioned he wanted to go see this one. Cast and executive producers, they don't have anybody bolded on the schedule for cast, so we can't say for sure.
Yeah, which does not mean that there won't be cast. It just means no one is confirmed. Yeah.
Confirmed. They might just be waiting to see what they're doing that day.
Yep.
Right after that, so you're going to get a double dose of Walking Dead, because right after that, from 12:30 to 3:30, they're going to be talking about the final season of Fear the Walking Dead. That's season 8. Again, cast and executive producers are going to talk about what they can expect from the new final season. That final season starts on May 14th. And after that, from 3:45 to 4:45, NBC's Quantum Leap. Moderated conversation, exclusive sneak peek. Once again, cast in
and quite a bit of the cast.
Big nice chunk.
Raymond Lee, Caitlin Bassett, Ernie Hudson, Mason Alexander Park, Nan Risa Lee. Yeah, that's
I saw some Sandman fans were pretty excited about Mason Alexander Park. And the Ghostbusters fans, of course, should be excited about Ernie Hudson.
Yes.
And the last thing there for Saturday is going to be from 5 p.m. to 6:30, and that is Funko Pop Talk Live with Brian Mariotti and Mike Becker. live discussion, pop talk. I think it's going to.
You're missing the biggest part.
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
man.
I think really it says they'll interview celebrity guests, but I think what everyone really wants is the special giveaway,
Yep.
which they also had at Comic-Con last year. They have not announced obviously what it's going to be. I think it's a secret.
Yeah,
But-
if it's anything like Comic-Con last year,
Yes.
it
Hopefully
will be
they're
fun.
bringing 7,500 of them or so for everybody that's going to be packed in there.
Yeah, that's going to be the big one of the room for the day.
Yep.
Of course.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would not
And
be
if-
surprised if there are people just camped out because it's good content all day long. I mean, it's definitely sounds entertaining if you're into TV at all. It won't be a snooze fest at all. But
I mean, this feels like the biggest stuff at the
Mhm.
convention. I mean, it's Saturday in the biggest room, so like, of
Yep.
course it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Walking Deads will potentially fill that room, depending on how many people are there that are wanting to see the panel, because WonderCon is not quite the panel mecca that Comic-Con is. It is more of an artist and cosplayer mecca. There's still a ton of other stuff. There's a ton of comics and everything else, but it's just not quite the severe demand. So while
For
these
sure.
rooms will be filling up, they may not necessarily be over full.
Yeah, that's how I think. The only one I think like you might have a problem with is Funko. Yeah, because again, if you put the word special giveaway and Funko together,
So just, show up during Quantum Leap, before Quantum Leap, whenever you feel like showing up beforehand, if you're
Yeah.
really worried, and keep an eye on, of course, on social media to see if
Twitter.
people are talking about it. And the convention's not massive. So, I mean, you can always make a run by it 3:30, 4 o'clock and see how the line is going and what the room looks like. And if you got other things to do, go do something for another half hour or whatever, and then come back if it's not too busy. But if it's busy, you're going to want to be there because that room will fill up.
Yep.
And
Pretty
if
much.
they do it like they did at Comic-Con, if they announce the guests in advance, the
Mhm.
special gift may very well be pops of the characters that those special guests play, because that's what they did at Comic-Con.
Yep.
regarding The Walking Dead, do you think that it's going to be busy no matter what, or do you think it'll really depend on who gets confirmed, or will they even announce who is confirmed until they walk out, before they walk out on stage?
I mean, it's hard to say. I know that at least with San Diego Comic-Con, The Walking Dead and AMC in general has been very good about announcing who is going to be on their panels beforehand. So I feel like odds are that they will announce beforehand. I would probably keep an eye on their social media as well as our site, more so even than like CCI's site, to see who gets announced just based on what's happened in the past. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's going to be busy no matter what, just because like it's a fairly big show. It feels like the biggest thing at the convention. But I mean, yeah, once they start announcing people, I'm sure that brings even more interest.
Yeah.
Okay,
Busy
so so back to North 200A for Saturday. We kick things off at 10:30 a.m. with all you need to know about the new sci-fi series, The Ark, which has some co-showrunners from like The Librarians and Leverage. And then at 11:30 is Fox's Housebroken, season 2 first look screening and conversation. And it's got several of the people behind the scenes, but it doesn't necessarily talk about cast. Yeah. And then at 12:30 is Animaniacs, a 30th anniversary celebration, and this one should be really fun. It's got series creator Tom Rugger and voice actor Paul Rugg, and basically they will be celebrating all things Animaniacs. At 1:30 is the second of the WB Warner Brothers Discovery Home Entertainment animated films, which is Justice League times RWBY, Superheroes and Huntsman Part 1. That will be followed by a Q&A with some of the cast, which includes Lindsay Jones, Kara Eberly, Aaron Zeck, and Barbara Dunkelman, plus more, True Valentino. And then at 3:30 is 30 years of Power Rangers Fandom Celebration, which is exactly what it sounds like. And then there's a big break before 8:30 when the Masquerade happens. This year's guest MC is Ashley Eckstein from Her Universe. And yeah, that's always fun. And that's North 200A.
So is anything going to be a problem? I mean, Animaniac sounds like it's going to be pretty fun.
Animaniac sounds like a lot of fun. I don't feel like you would have a problem getting into any of this. I mean, if you're worried, show up like 15 minutes early for either Animaniacs or the world premiere of the DC film. But both of those, I mean, this is a big room. Again, we feel like minimum it probably holds around 2,000. So this is not a small room.
So the WonderCon Masquerade, that will have a very long line.
Yes.
Especially for those who want to sit near the front, the line will be very long. But I don't know if it's actually going to fill up. So if you show up 15, 20, 30 minutes before, you should be fine. I don't know if I've gone to the WonderCon one more than once, so I don't know how long it gets. But I would say if you're worried about it, go give an eye on the line sometime after you go grab some food in between the panels and the masquerade.
Yeah. Yep. That sounds about right to me. All right.
Room 207.
Yep.
All right. So we have, starting at 10 a.m., the history of sci-fi costumes, which will feature costumer and seamstress Augusta Avalone, who worked on Kenobi and Picard and Loki. And we'll talk about creating costuming for television and movies. At 11, we have Rhapsody PR's 15th annual Behind the Music panel, Ultrasonic, which features panelists like Jeff Russo, Amanda Creed Thomas, Joseph Shirley, and more. And they will be talking about creating the scores for some of the popular shows and films that you love to watch. Again, like Picard, Primal, Mandalorian, things like that. At noon, we have the Jack Kirby Tribute Panel, hosted by Mark Evanier, and it will feature Marv Wolfman and John Morrow and Paul S. Levine. And they will just be talking about Kirby and, his influence on basically all of comics and movies and popular culture as we know it today, essentially.
I have no doubt Mark Evanier will have several stories to tell.
Yeah.
Some good Jack Kirby anecdotes.
Yep.
I don't think that's ever a problem.
No, not at all.
And then at 1 p.m., we have Spotlight on Tom King, Eisner Award-winning writer Tom King, of course, with Batman and Grayson and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which will be a film in the new DCU, among other things. So this is basically just him, talking about him. Using Comics for Good at 2 p.m. And this features a variety of editors and such from different comic companies, including Alex Antone, and features Jeff Johns, Margaret Scott. Boy, these are some names. I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce those. But anyway, using Comics for Good. At 3 p.m., we have Alternative History and Speculative Fiction. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's a few authors discussing those kinds of things. At 4 p.m., Mark Evanier is back with Cartoon Voices, which features Joe Ockman, Caitlin Robrock, Neil Ross, Cynthia McWilliams, and Brian Hull. And it's, again, these panel names are very descriptive of what's in them because this is about people doing cartoon voices. Then we have How to Build a Star Wars R2 Astromech with a bunch of R2 builders talking about how to build them. That was at 5 p.m. 6 p.m. we have Expanding the Nacelle Company Universe. And this is the company who brought you the shows like the movies that made us and the toys that made us and things like that. And they are reviving a bunch of old cartoons and such like Sectors and Roboforce and Power Lords, and Biker Mice from Mars. So the panelists, Brian Volkweiss, Gavin Ignite, Leah Morris, and Brian Adams will be discussing what that company is going to be bringing out. At 7 p.m., we have one of the legal panels that crop up at Comic-Cons now, which is the Legal Mysteries of Netflix's Wednesday. And this will be a variety of judges and lawyers discussing just that. And then at 8 p.m., we have Be the Monster You Were Destined to Be, Representation in Horror Comics, which features Philip Knox, Joelle Selner, Brandon Perlow, and Debbie Doughty. And it's just talking about horror and how it lets people explore the monster within. And that is it. So what do we think is going to bring the people in on these?
I mean, Cartoon Voices is always packed because it's Cartoon Voices. And everybody who's been to these conventions knows what that is. I feel like that's going to be the big panel in here for the day. What do you think, James?
I think that will also be the big panel. I think Tom King panel, it has a chance to be pretty full because he is one of the superstars of comics right now. So I think those are the two that you would have to keep an eye on if you want to get into those.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like a room and a day and a schedule where people are going to be in and out rather than camping out for an entire day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think any panel you really have to worry about for almost all of these, where you can show up 5-10 minutes before, get your seat, and you'll be fine.
I would personally show up earlier than that for Cartoon Voices, but
except for that one, yes. But for most of them, yes.
Yes.
So next up, we are going to head into the dark horse. I'm going to go first this time.
Do it.
Mess up our outline completely.
Do it.
Okay, so I know someone might be taking this. This is why I'm going first, so I can steal it.
Do it.
The Fleischer cartoons, restoring the cartoons of Max Fleischer. Animation historian Ray Pointer will be showcasing new restorations of cartoons featuring Betty Boop, Popeye, Coco the Clown, Superman, and more. There'll be a Q&A with him and Max's granddaughter Jane Reed to learn about the history of Fleischer Studios. This will be in room 300E at 10 a.m. And these cartoons are awesome.
And our site actually exclusively announced which two new restorations they're going to be debuting here.
Nice. Which
is Swing You Sinners and the Cobweb Hotel. So you can find more information about all that on our site.
Sweet.
Did you mention the guest that they're having?
Oh yeah, I don't even think that that's on here. But yes, they've got the showrunner of the Cuphead TV series also on the panel. I don't think that's on the official description, but it's on our site as well. So
very cool. I have others, but you guys can do yours first.
Aaron, you do your one.
Yes, and I'm just gonna say that I didn't pick one because I knew Carrie would want it. So this is actually would be my second choice. I picked It's Alive, Designing Sci-Fi Horror and Comic Book Genre Film and TV. This is going to be in room 213 CD from noon to 1 p.m. This is like all the stuff that I like all the little details about how things get made. I'm always wondering how things get made. How do they do this? And this kind of seems like that kind of panel. There's some fun people, including, let's see, yes, production designer John Pano, who did Last of Us, cinematographer Jules O'Loughlin, who did a couple episodes of the Ms. Marvel TV series, which I loved. One of the editors from Dahmer, Taylor Joy Mason. A lot of people on a lot of really good stuff. Going to be talking the details.
Yeah.
So I think and it's actually one part of a whole, I shouldn't say whole series. There's 3 panels all in a row that are all similar to this one, all done sort of by the same company. I think it was Impact 24 Public Relations, but they've got a lot of people who work behind the scenes that make the stuff that we love, and they're going to reveal some of the details.
And with the decline of physical media and special features on DVDs, this is one of the few ways you can actually get behind the scenes stuff now.
Yep. Well, I wrote something down here on this list, but I'm actually going to change my
Really?
I have to. I feel like I have to. I know.
Okay.
I know. I mean, we're still going to talk about the other one, but
Okay.
let's talk about the puppet-filled D&D one shot.
Mhm.
I was wondering if this one would pop up.
Yep.
I'm going to ask to. Okay, it's at 8 p.m. in room 300A, and honestly, the fact that it's at 8 p.m. makes me think that this is not child-friendly, but that means I am way more interested. Because you know it's going to be crazy.
I wish we had a slide for the picture of the puppets.
Yeah, so you can go to our Twitter feed.
yeah.
I retweeted it earlier, but the puppets are named Chunk and Cucumber. And I mean, it's
Which-
puppets.
do
and
we know
doing
which
D&D. Like,
Which one is which, though?
I couldn't
Which
tell
one's
you.
Chunk? Because I kind of
Could
thought
not
Chunk
tell
would
you.
be a chunky one, but neither of them are very chunky. Chunk
Well, I
and
mean,
Cucumber.
Is one of them green? Because that would be the cucumber.
That could be the Cucumber.
I mean, not
You're good.
necessarily.
Yeah.
You're making some assumptions here,
Yeah,
James.
this is true. This is
Like
true.
making a guess, you know.
You're making some assumptions here.
all right.
Yeah, but I mean, this just sounds crazy and fun. So this is my dark horse. If I was going to the panel this year, this would be like my number one.
And it's not the only time that you'll be able to see Chunk and Cucumber. They're on another
That's right.
panel, aren't they?
They are.
Yes.
Tell us more, Aaron.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember. I just remember I got really excited. I was like, oh, there's more puppets.
Well, you know what?
Puppet-
The
puppetry, yeah.
SCED has a search
SCED.
feature, so I bet you if I type in the word cucumber,
Cucumber.
it worked. They're on Pop Culture Fantasy Draft at
That's
7
right.
p.m. in room 300A. So you've got 2 chances to go see some puppets.
Or show up for the first one and stay for 2 hours of puppets.
Yeah. Double your puppet fun. Okay. I will shut up about the puppets now. Aaron, do you want to talk about some of the other panels? And then I've got a couple more as well.
No, the only one I had was the It's Alive one. Although I would recommend, either the one before that and the one after that too. So you go
Okay.
with yours.
Well, I've got more than
Gotta
that.
go.
So what I originally had written down was the Our Flag Means Death, Ships on Ships panel at 5:30 p.m. in room 300C, which is basically just a bunch of fans talking about Our Flag Means Death, which is a show that I love. So that sounds fun. There's also at 6:30 p.m. in 213AB, the FX of Doctor Who, You Can Do This. And they did this last year too. And it's basically where they show you a classic episode of Doctor Who. And then some special effects guys show you how to recreate that effect at home. And that sounds fun.
Yes. So I want to talk about a couple. The first one is Beyond Vasquez, Star Trek's big and little location filming sites in room. Let's see, it's in room 213 CD at 5 p.m. It's hosted by Larry Nemechek. And they're basically just going to talk about all the in real life, both famous and obscure places where Trek filmed around SoCal. So I think that's pretty cool, especially if you love going to, I know some of us love going to where filming locations are. So this is pretty cool. And
is cool.
then something that I think is new to Comic-Con panels, which is the CGC grading standards with Matt Nelson. CGC president Matt Nelson is going to go into about the nuances of grading comics, which has been around for a while, but is really, I think, becoming a major thing these days with, slabbed comics and all that. But he's going to go over about the CGC grading guide and the future plans for the certified market. So if you're into getting your comics graded and stored,
If you're
and protected,
Yes, if you're into getting them graded, and you're tired of the things that you think are 9.8s coming back as 9.4s, this is probably a good one to go to.
Yeah, because you can find out why they keep doing that to you. So yeah, there you go. Those are my picks for just little things that across the spectrum of things that are offered on the schedule.
Those are good. Those are good ones.
Good choices.
Yes, we had one question in the chat, which is from Rom V. Do you know if the Funko sold at WonderCon will have a different sticker than the shared exclusive stickers sold at Target, GameStop, etc.? I mean, I don't know that they've officially said that. Maybe they have, but they always have in the past, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm pretty sure they have.
Yeah, so I'm just about positive that like it will say WonderCon exclusive if you pick it up at the convention. Like that's half the point.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why they bring them there. Otherwise, they would just sell them all online, probably.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, I don't know that officially. It might say it in their blog, but I would say like 95% chance, yes, different sticker. Okay, anything else on Saturday?
I don't think so.
Okay, then let's talk Sunday. Let me scroll back down here. Okay, it is a very short day in the arena, just like Friday, but at 10 a.m. things kick off with animation show of shows best, which has Ron Diamond, where he, does his thing. He basically shows you some awesome cartoons. At 12:15 is the screening again of Justice League times RWBY Superheroes and Huntsmen Part 1. So this will be the film again, but there will not be a Q&A with cast after. And then after that at 2 p.m. is the replay of Batman The Doom That Came to Gotham. Again, it's the film only, no cast, no Q&A. And that's it.
So no problem here. I mean,
no problem.
Room. It's a big room, and they're replays, so they will not have the band as the initial because the cast won't be there. So if you want to spend your Sunday watching some cartoons, again, can't go wrong watching cartoons. So, there you go.
Yep, there you go.
If you're walking around the final day doing some shopping and you want to take a break, here's a good place to take a break.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have room North 200A. Let's see what we got going on Sunday here. All right. We have at 11 a.m. UFOs in Comics and Popular Media. And this will feature Walter Bosley, Clyde Nee, Don Ecker, Tessa Dick, and Greg Bishop, offering a fascinating and fun retrospective on UFOs in comics and popular media. At noon, we have The Dragon Prince, Building a Scene. And this features the cast, crew, and creators of The Dragon Prince to take you on a journey from storyboard to the streaming screen and everything in between, moderated by Jack Tessina. It'll break down a fan favorite scene from season 4 of the Netflix series and just basically show how the sausage is made. At 1 p.m. we have Freakazoid, How One Show Changed the World as We Know It. And this is the creative team from the series back in the day. We'll give just a glimpse into how that one was made, featuring writer, producer, voice actor Paul Rugg, producer and writer Tom Ruger, producer and writer John McCann, and the production designer and director Mitch Sauer, along with composers Steve Burns and Jolie Bernstein. So this looks like it's going to be pretty cool if you loved Freakazoid. And then at 2 p.m. we have Let's Talk LOTR, The Rings of Power. And this is from the OneRing.net group of those guys, including Nancy Steinman, writer and graphic artist, and Justin Sewell, producer of one of their podcasts. We'll be discussing season 1 of The Rings of Power. And then at 3 p.m. we have the annual screening of Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog, an interactive musical comedy. And this is just what it sounds like. They're going to show Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog, and you can come and sing along.
And nobody will tell you to shush.
Exactly.
Sing to your heart's content.
So is anything going to be difficult to get into? I mean, is Dragon Prince popular enough to fill up that room?
It's popular.
It's popular. I don't know that
But-
it's like 2,000 strong popular.
Yeah.
I feel like there will be a decent sized crowd for these, but I don't know that I see the room filling up.
Right. And they can and may change the room structure from one day to the next based
Yep.
on what they think. So again, just keep an eye, go up and check out the room if you're worried, but I don't know if you need to be worried about any of these unless they shrink the room down to like 300 people, which I don't think they're going to do.
No.
So yeah, I would expect this to fill probably at least fit at least 1,000 people every day. And I don't think they'll lower the room below that.
Yep. Okay, well, on to our last room then, which is room 207. Aaron?
Yes, 207. It's going to start off at 10 in the morning with the 31st anniversary of X-Men, the animated series. They're going to be talking about behind the scenes production of the series with a whole bunch of the creators, Larry Houston, producer and director, Brooke Watchell, David McDermott. Next, we've got at 11 a.m. Adventures in Voice Acting for Anime. They're going to have a team of veteran voice actors host a discussion on the voiceover process in anime and in gaming. At noon, how to create your own novel. This one is going to be helmed by the Winter twins, Brittany and Brianna, also with Sheehan McGuire, and an up and comer that you may have heard of by the name of Chris Jericho.
And that is the Chris Jericho.
Yeah, that is. Yes. Actor, wrestler, musician, author, podcaster, game show host, and TV personality, Chris Jericho. Yes, absolutely. And I'm assuming by the name, how to create your own novel, that they're going to be discussing, the genesis of the idea all the way through the novel process. After that, at 1 o'clock, where do big ideas come from? Answering the big question about where story ideas come from. This one is going to have a few people. Nimon Ford, VP Universal Music Group. Jeffrey Mark is a supervisor on Raised by Wolves and the Orville. They're also going to have a few more people that haven't been announced yet, but they're going to just answer the big question about where do story ideas come from. 2 o'clock, Game On, writing music for video games. This one sounds pretty awesome. Grammy nominated Austin Wintory, who did the music for Journey, BAFTA winning Gary Scheinman, who did the BioShock music. If you're a fan at all of video game music, I think that you're probably going to want to check that one out. At 3 o'clock, Civil Rights in the Time of Star Wars. They're going to be analyzing the civil rights issues presented in both Kenobi and in Andor. And at 4 o'clock, Light Your Spark, being authentic in gaming. Mia Janae, who is a writer and a public speaker, is going to be moderating a panel of Black video game developers and talking about what it means to bring their authentic selves to the gaming industry. And that's the day in 207. I know that the X-Men anniversary, or the 31st anniversary X-Men animated series, I know the animated series is always really, really popular, but I kind of think that even though the subject is writing a novel, that maybe the Chris Jericho How to Create Your Own Novel panel might be the draw. I think people just wanting to come to see him.
I think so long as people are aware he's on that panel, that he can, I'm sure he could get some people there.
Yeah. Again, this is a room that it just seems like it's so many different things. Again, I think people will be in and out rather than camping out for an entire day.
Yeah. And the programming department is awesome at doing this, where they schedule things so that the rooms kind of do filter people in and out.
Yeah.
So,
well, what do you guys think? You think that'll be an okay one? How about that? Let's talk about the create your own novel at noon. If you wanted to see that, wanted to make sure to get a good seat, would you scoot over there right away in the morning?
I don't feel like it's going to require that much of a wait. I mean, maybe James feels otherwise, but I mean, if you're worried, show up, 15, 30 minutes before, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think if the X-Men panel is heavily attended, then it probably will clear out
Yeah.
for the next panel. So if you're worried, just get in there during the panel before.
Yep.
Time during the panel before. Maybe not 5 minutes before the panel, but like I said, 15, 30, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, do we want to get into our dark horse picks then?
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna go first then. My first pick is horror, thriller, or neither at 2 p.m. in room 209, which is a bunch of for scholars, columnists, and pop culture writers, basically talking about what kind of thrills make a film or TV show a horror story, and basically just debating the genre. And I love horror, so I think that sounds fun.
It's such a great timely topic too, because you say horror and two different people will think two different things. So I think it's horror, thriller, suspense, noir.
Yeah.
So many
Exactly.
things. My first dark horse would be Spotlight on Mitch Gerads. He's one of the special guests, so of course he gets a spotlight. This one is being moderated, or he's partnering with Tom King. So I think if you're a comic book fan, this would be a good one to see the two of them interact. I think it'll be a chuckle fest. That one's in room 208 from 2:30 to 3:30.
I'm going to go with at 1 p.m. in room 213 CD, we have Tales from My Spinner Rack Live. And that features Gary Sassman, the former director of programming and publications for Comic-Con. And he has his own blog where he posts about comic books, like a specific one every week. And he just talks about comics, and he's going to do it live on a panel for the first time. So if you want to hear some stories about comics and you enjoyed him coming on our podcast last year, then go ahead and go see him live.
Yep. And you can also check out his blog, which is innocentbystander.com, and it's got a hyphen between those words, but he's a cool guy. Okay, well, I've got a couple of others. Does anybody else?
Just I'm sure we're going to mention Talkback, so we might as well mention it now. Talkback is going to be at 3:30 p.m. in 213 AB, and that is your chance to give feedback directly to the people who run Comic-Con and WonderCon.
Yep. And please go and say something other than a complaint. I mean, if you have a legitimate concern, sure, but I feel like so often those turn into just a lot of complaining about little things. So, okay, I also wanted to mention, I thought this was kind of fun, the Unmasquerade at 4 p.m. in room 300A, which is the premise of this is, have you ever walked into the con floor and wondered just who or what someone is cosplaying? And I think we've all been there. So it's basically playing 20 questions to guess what costume some folks are wearing. And I think that just sounds like fun.
It does, actually.
Yeah,
I would encourage anyone who's planning on wearing cosplay that's a little bit more obscure to maybe go to this and see if they can do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, there's a whole other schedule full of stuff. There's so many rooms.
So much more.
So, but those are the big ones. Those are the ones that might have issues. Of course, some of those small rooms may have issues because they're smaller. If you think a panel is going to be pretty popular because of the subject matter, then yeah, make sure you show up a few minutes early, as always. Do we have any other news? Like
yes.
Comic-Con?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about San Diego Comic-Con at the end of this. So we actually have had quite a few offsite announcements here in the last couple of days, including a Jimmy Eat World and Manchester Orchestra concert at Park in the Park at Petco. So we've had a lot of confusion about where exactly that is. And if you think about, if you know where the Impractical Jokers block party was, that's Park in the Park. So it's not the parking lot. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the interactive zone won't be there. It's not the stadium. So it's Park in the Park at Petco. But tickets for that go on sale, I think, later this week. And then we also had shows announced for the annual Balboa Theater shows of The Adventure Zone and My Brother and Me. So quite a few things starting to get announced. Yep.
And a few things that were announced have sold out now. I saw that the Tori Amos concert that we had posted about not too long ago is now sold out.
There you go.
So I feel like if people are interested in something, they might want to jump on it. I know that there's a lot of like, well, what if something better comes up? But if you're a Jimmy Eat World fan or a Manchester Orchestra fan, you might want to jump on those tickets when they go on sale.
Yeah.
Or
That's
you
right.
could stand outside the gates and listen.
I mean, you're not
Right,
wrong.
right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be loud.
Gonna be loud. Okay, so for a couple of housekeeping notes. Number one, prize meal returns and will be at WonderCon. And I don't think I can announce what we've got, but I am very excited.
There's
So,
a few.
There's a
things
few.
we'll-
Yep.
They're repeat items. So if you miss it the first time, once we start giving them away and you're like, I must have that, then keep an eye out because we will be giving them away a few times throughout the weekend.
And it
Yeah.
is not a Snake Eyes plush.
No, it's not.
Not this time. They may return, but not this time.
I feel like I still have several. I feel like I just like need to bring one to San Diego and just like drop it anyway for old time's sake.
Mhm.
Yep. And then I did just want to say, and if I say it here, that it's official, we are not going to have a party this year. So
No party.
Fair.
The decision has been made.
the decision has been made. We're not doing a party this year. The plan is that we're going to do one next year. We're going to skip this year. And in exchange, we're going to bring our website into the 21st century and we're going to get a new website here in a couple weeks. But
I think
no
that's
party.
a fair exchange. And I'll tell you what, we're already working on stuff for the party for next year. So we're gonna
Yep.
have like
Yep.
it'll be 2 years that we'll have worked on this. It's gonna be a pretty good party
Yep.
and a pretty good website.
Yes.
We're
It's
gonna get it
both
all.
those things are going to be great. Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad that a decision was made because I know folks have been asking. And I know that I have been asking you every week.
I know Aaron's been asking me for like weeks, and I've been like, I won't make a decision yet.
Months.
Like, leave me
Months.
alone. Leave
I think
me
it was
alone.
like September. I was just like, well, here's my idea for the party, and here's all the games, and here's the theme, and here's everything
I mean, but again, like all your ideas were great, and we'll do them next year.
next
So,
year.
It's official. No party this year. Sean, if you were listening, like I expect a text message with like party hats and balloons.
And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you won't get a chance to see us because we're going to be around for Prize Mule.
Yeah, for sure. We'll still be around for Prize Mill. And honestly, what's probably going to happen is that Sunday night, we will probably still tweet like, hey, we're standing on this random street corner with what is left of our Prize Mill stuff. Come and get it. I think there's a very high likelihood that happens. Cups of water will for sure be happening. So get
100%.
excited for that.
Yeah. People
That
come
goes nowhere.
with a cup. You don't have to just drink it from the bottle.
I bought those cups like 5 years ago and I still have some left.
When
So
you
we're
say you
gonna
have
keep-
some, do you mean like thousands or hundreds?
Not thousands,
Okay.
but enough.
Yeah.
We've also still got, I think, 75 to 100 tumblers.
Nice.
Showed
Purple
up
ones? Can you
magically after the convention.
Behind you?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have a lid on it right now, but this is one of our tumblers. I ordered one set and we got 3.
Oops.
One of which showed up 2 weeks after the convention. So there will be more tumblers this year. Yep.
Right. There you go.
Yep.
Okay. So prize mule at WonderCon, prize mule at Comic-Con, no party at Comic-Con. Let's downplay it. Let's not make two people too sad. Okay, now moving on. Now, okay, now we
But
will
new
have-
website. New website.
New
New
website.
website. New
New
website's
website.
gonna come. Cups of water is still gonna happen. It's gonna be great,
Yes.
guys. And again, I'm this is maybe like the most excited I've ever been, like for one of our prize mule giveaways at WonderCon this year.
Nice.
So get excited.
All right.
I
Already
do
on.
want to mention too that essentially the chances and the odds of people winning prize mule is going to be going up, because the one person that keeps winning it will be participating in giving
this is
things
true.
away
This
instead
is
of
true.
winning things. So your
Yeah.
odds are better.
So so if you are not one of our Patreon members, Johnny Omni, as we call him, won every single year, multiple times in prize mule, but he is now on our staff, so he cannot win anymore.
So your
Cool.
odds have gone up.
Yes,
He made the great sacrifice.
he did. Okay,
I think
all
he
right.
did it just. I think he did it just to relieve the pressure of having to find you year after year.
Fine. I'm at the Omni.
And strangely, so was he. Hence
Yeah.
the name
Yeah.
Johnny
Johnny
Omni.
Omni.
All right.
God. Okay.
So we are
All
going
right.
to do a WonderCon wrap-up show in a couple weeks. I think we're going to probably do it again on Tuesday. I think that's the 28th, but we will, of course, tweet the specific time and date that happens. And then, of course, coming up in May, the next season of SDConCast starts, and we will have, of course, all the news and exclusives and guests leading up to San Diego Comic-Con 2023.
Yeah.
It's also exciting. It's all starting to happen.
It
Very
is,
fun.
and I think I've even got like a guest nailed down for our podcast. So
Yes.
starting early here.
Hey, so Jeremy Meyer has a quick question. Was a spot on the team one of the giveaways that Johnny won?
You know what? It was basically like I just kept running into him places last year. Like I saw I think he only won for me twice, but I saw him in like 6 different places.
We saw him everywhere we went.
Everywhere.
I even saw him at D23.
Johnny Omni's everywhere. But yeah, so he just started talking to us, and so I feel like if you can find us that many times in a year, like maybe that qualifies you to join us. So who knew?
Give it a try, people. See what happens.
Bring a
I
resume.
feel like we're now encouraging people to stalk us.
Right.
No, don't do that.
They're going to bring their cover letter and resume and hand it to us.
All right, let's get serious here.
All right. That's yours. It's your turn. You talk.
It's my turn. Okay. You can sign up for our newsletter. We do send them occasionally. I don't know why this says Sarah James.
I didn't do it. right,
yes,
so-
you can sign up for our newsletter.
We will send them when it gets closer to Comic-Con, of course. I hope. And thank you all for joining us and watching if you're watching, and listening if you're listening later. And Erin, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Bavarian Erin. Carrie, where can we find more of you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Carrie Dixon and nowhere else. James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me at Dan Regal everywhere on the internet, and you can check out geekshotphoto.com for links, social media and stuff for me and my wife. And thank you to Beth, our producer, she will edit this show and get it into your ears.
Do you not want to plug the other thing?
Oh yeah, I do. I have it on the new. I actually have a new podcast I am co-hosting called Citizens of Lorcana, dedicated to the new Disney Lorcana trading card game that is coming out later this year. So basically, I've never collected a trading card game, and this is our journey to the release of that game. So if you are interested, give it a listen.
That's
It's Citizens
exciting.
of Lorcana everywhere. So search that name.
So you've never done a card game?
I've played it like 20 years ago. I played like Overpower, but I haven't like full on done like a trading card game, and I'm buying this from the start. So
this is a deck building kind of.
it's a
challenge
little
game.
bit of everything. Like we had Sean on to talk about conventions because they're premiering at Gen Con in Indianapolis later this year, and just like all the different things around the trading card game world. Collecting,
exciting.
investing, playing, deck building, all that stuff.
Good for you. How fun. Is that both of you and Beth?
Just me. I mean, Beth's gonna play, but it's mainly me who's gonna like. She's like, all right, you do your thing.
I think that's fair. We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We're also on Stitcher Radio, and the link is in the show notes. We're also on Patreon, and we do a monthly podcast over there just for those folks. So if you want to listen to me and James talk a little bit more about what's going on in our lives in San Diego Comic-Con, or if you just want to thank us for what we do, that's where to do it.
And if you ever want to hear about 5 Muse shows live on the Patreon, you guys can have me on. I'm free anytime to talk about going to all these Muse shows.
Aaron, do you want to be on next month?
That's the only thing I have going on in my life.
Aaron, you are now our special guest this month. Thank you for volunteering.
I volunteer as tribute. Yes.
Yep.
So if you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you all for listening, and everybody go shawarma. Everybody watch out for the clones.